You know, space, it's a funny thing. It's vast, mysterious, and apparently the perfect breeding ground for some truly outlandish theories. I once met a guy who swore blind that the Earth is flat. A flat Earth? I asked him. What about all the pictures from space? He just shrugged and said, government propaganda. See, that's the thing about conspiracy theories. They're like cockroaches after a nuclear apocalypse. Almost impossible to get rid of. And nowhere are these theories more persistent than around the Moon Landing. Yes, apparently one of humanity's greatest achievements is nothing more than an elaborate hoax filmed on a soundstage somewhere in the Nevada desert. Don't get me wrong, I love a good conspiracy theory as much as the next guy. They're like mental junk food, deliciously absurd and terrible for you in the long run. But even I have to draw the line somewhere. So, tonight we're diving headfirst into the wacky world of moon landing conspiracies. We'll be your tour guides through this lunar landscape of misinformation, shining a light on the truth, and hopefully having a few laughs along the way. Buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy, but hopefully hilarious ride. Now let's get down to brass tacks, or should I say moon rocks. What are the biggest claims made by our moon landing deniers? Oh honey, where do we even begin? The classics never go out of style. The waving flag in a vacuum, the lack of stars in the photos, the shadows that just don't seem to add up. It's like a greatest hits album of conspiracy theories. And trust me, it's an album that should have been left in the bargain bin of history. Then there's the ever popular, it was all filmed by Stanley Kubrick theory. Because, you know, faking a moon landing is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from directing 2001, A Space Odyssey. And let's not forget the Van Allen radiation belts, which, according to some, would have fried the astronauts like eggs on a summer sidewalk. It's enough to make your head spin faster than a gyroscope in zero gravity. But fear not, dear viewers, because we're about to blast these theories out of the airlock with the cold, hard vacuum of facts. Get ready for some myth busting, because tonight we're separating the lunar facts from the lunar. Well, you get the idea. Okay, let's address the elephant in the lunar module. The evidence, or lack thereof, according to conspiracy theorists. First up, that pesky flag, waving proudly as if caught in a gentle breeze. How could it possibly flutter in the airless vacuum of space? Well, my friends, it's all about the telescopic pole along the top edge, designed to make the flag fly proudly. And that breeze you see? Just the fabric settling after being unfurled. Physics? It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Then there's the argument that the astronauts couldn't have survived the Van Allen radiation belts. Now it's true, these belts of charged particles are no joke. But guess what? Neither is NASA. They planned the mission meticulously, ensuring the spacecraft and astronauts pass through the belts quickly, minimizing exposure. Think of it like running through a sprinkler on a hot day. Unpleasant, sure, but not deadly. Now let's talk about those suspicious shadows. Conspiracy theorists love to point out that the shadows in the moon landing photos don't appear parallel, suggesting multiple light sources like, say, studio spotlights. But here's the thing. Perspective can be a real pain in the lunar surface. Just like two parallel lines on Earth seem to converge in the distance, the same principle applies on the moon. Add in the uneven terrain and the single light source, that giant ball of fire in the sky we call the sun, and voila, shadows that look a little wonky. And what about the lack of stars in the background of the photos? Shouldn't the lunar sky be teeming with twinkling celestial bodies? Well, yes, but remember, the astronauts were taking photos during lunar daytime. The bright sunlight reflecting off the lunar surface would have washed out the faint light from distant stars. It's the same reason we don't see many stars in brightly lit cities here on Earth. What light pollution, it's a universal problem, apparently. But let's entertain the conspiracy theorists for a moment, shall we? Let's say, for argument's sake, that the moon landing was faked. That it was all an elaborate hoax filmed on a soundstage somewhere. Don't you think someone, somewhere would have talked by now? A disgruntled cameraman, a stage hand with a guilty conscience, Stanley Kubrick's pet hamster. We're talking about a conspiracy so vast, so complex, it would have involved hundreds, if not thousands of people. And yet not a single credible whistleblower has emerged in over 50 years. Not one. You're telling me that everyone involved in this supposed hoax has managed to keep their mouth shut for all this time? That's more unbelievable than the idea of us actually landing on the moon. And what about the tangible evidence? The moon rocks brought back by the Apollo missions, the laser reflectors still used to measure the distance to the moon, the countless hours of footage and telemetry data. Are we to believe that all of this is fabricated too? That scientists around the world, many of whom have dedicated their lives to studying the moon, are all part of this grand conspiracy? Look, I'm all for questioning authority, for thinking critically, but at some point you have to look at the overwhelming amount of evidence and say, okay, maybe, just maybe, we did land on the moon. Because to believe otherwise requires a level of skepticism that borders on the delusional. It's like staring at a plate of freshly baked cookies and claiming they're actually cleverly disguised rocks. Delicious, delicious rocks. Now, I understand that some people might find it hard to wrap their heads around the sheer scale and complexity of the Apollo missions. It's true, landing humans on the moon and returning them safely to Earth was a monumental achievement, one that pushed the boundaries of science and engineering. But just because something is difficult, even seemingly impossible, doesn't mean it didn't happen. Think about it this way. A few hundred years ago, people thought the Earth was flat. They couldn't fathom the idea of a spherical Earth, of people living on the other side without falling off. But then along came science with its pesky facts and evidence and shattered those beliefs. The moon landing is no different. It's a testament to human ingenuity a shining example of what we can achieve when we put our minds to it. So, to our friends, the moon landing deniers, I say this. We appreciate your skepticism, we really do. After all, a healthy dose of skepticism is important, especially in today's world of misinformation and alternative facts. But there's a difference between healthy skepticism and outright denial. When presented with overwhelming evidence, with facts backed up by multiple independent sources, at some point you have to be willing to adjust your worldview. The moon landing wasn't just a victory for America, it was a victory for all of humanity. It was a giant leap for mankind, a testament to our collective potential. So let's celebrate this incredible achievement, not try to tear it down with baseless conspiracy theories. Let's focus on the future, on the next giant leap, and leave the flat earth theories and moon landing denials where they belong, in the dustbin of history. In the end, the moon landing is a powerful reminder that reality is often far more amazing than fiction. It's a testament to the power of science, the ingenuity of the human spirit, and the importance of critical thinking. So, the next time you find yourself questioning the world around you, remember the words of the great Carl Sagan. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And when it comes to the moon landing, the evidence is right there, waiting to be discovered. All you have to do is open your eyes, embrace the wonder of it all, and maybe, just maybe, you'll see the universe in a whole new light. And if you still believe the moon landing was faked after all that, well, then I have a bridge to sell you. It's made of moon rock, of course.